that front arrives. So Thursday afternoon, temperatures begin to drop and they plummet, and they're below freezing by the time we get to sunset. We'll go over the timing here in detail in just a moment. Temperatures, again, lows in the teens expected Friday morning and Saturday morning. Saturday morning's forecast has gotten a little colder. Instead of low 20s, it looks like teens across the board. So two very cold mornings, Friday morning and Saturday morning. And the wind is going to be a factor. Winds are going to gust 30 to 35 for inland areas Thursday night through Friday morning, and 40 or maybe even above 40 on the immediate coast. History shows that when the Houston area begins to see wind gusts to 40, that's when you just begin, that's the threshold to begin to see isolated power outages. So, one branch bends too far and touches a power line here, or a small branch breaks over here and hits a power line, and a few homes, maybe a small neighborhood, maybe a street or two, gets the power knocked out. But that should be the worst of it as far as power outage concerns with the weather. Isolated, not widespread, and our teams and crews out there should be able to handle that and get folks back online pretty quickly under those conditions. So that's the basics of what we're looking at. Oh, and that wind's going to make a tremendous wind chill as well. We'll look at that forecast here in just a moment. Meanwhile, here on Tuesday evening, you can see the leading edge of the Arctic air. Notice that Kansas City's at 20, and then it plummets to 4, Omaha, Nebraska. Dodge City at 15, North Platte's at 8. 30 in Casper, 9 below in Billings. So, here's the leading edge of our Arctic frontal boundary. Chicago 26. On the other side of that boundary, Des Moines at 5 degrees and Bismarck's at 11 below. So that's the leading edge of the Arctic boundary, and it's basically stationary right now. What's going to happen is low pressure is going to form, and then as it scoots through during the day on Thursday, as it moves through, the counterclockwise rotation around that surface low will then drive the front south, and that's what will dislodge and move that Arctic air mass to the south. It's part of a sprawling, bitter cold Siberian air mass. Temps are colder up here in northern Canada than yesterday at this time. It's 50 below zero at Carmax, Barrows 12 below, Old Crow 31 below, Whitehorse 35 below, Prince Albert's 26 below, Winnipeg at 18 below, Fargo's 21 below zero, coldest spot in the nation right now. And so this sprawling, bitter cold Arctic air mass, all this about to be dislodged and pushed southeast. We all remember the freeze we had February 2021. During that surge of Arctic Siberian air, it came due south, right down through Texas and New Mexico. This one is going to go a little further to the east, the heart of it. So the coldest temperatures will be in Nashville and northern Alabama and Georgia. It'll be colder there than it is in Texas with this particular time. The trajectory is just a little bit more to the east than in 2021, and that actually is going to save us from having a similar, devastating freeze where this is going to be cold. It won't be as cold or cold for as long as we were back in 2021. Jet stream pattern, here's where our bitter cold air is, and you can see how it's just filling in right through the base of the trough. But notice the base of the trough. Here's, there's the axis right there. So the coldest of the air is going to end up here. When we had in 2021, that trough axis was right down the middle of Texas, and the coldest air with that one came right into the state. So here's the big picture forecast. We go into Thursday. This is Thursday at noon. And at that point, it's 24 in Dallas, while we are just enjoying a beautiful day at 65 degrees here in Houston. But it won't last. By the time we get into Thursday evening, temperatures are dropping to and below freezing by 7:30, so it's a little after sunset. Houston, Harris counties below freezing. Then we won't get back above freezing until Saturday afternoon. And then temperatures plummet into the teens as we head into early Friday morning. Let's take a closer look at that. So here's Thursday. We get into 2:30 in the afternoon, and look at the temperature contrast. 70 in Angleton, while it's 2 degrees above freezing in College Station. And notice how tightly these isotherms are packed. So we're going to have a very quick 20-25 degree temperature drop as this comes in. Just, within minutes, you're going to drop 20-25 degrees, and then it will just continue to drop. So there'll be no misunderstanding when the cold air reaches your neighborhood. You will know it. And then by 5:30 in the afternoon, let's see, our freeze line already, Conroe, Cleveland, Highway 105, freeze line by 5:30 in the afternoon, Thursday afternoon. By 7:30, freeze line is right here, including Pearland and Pasadena. And then as we get into Thursday overnight, it just plunges, and we're going to drop down into the teens. Latest runs, this is the latest update, 7 a.m. Friday morning. Angleton at 19, Pearland at 17, Houston downtown 17 degrees, Spring at 15, Huntsville going to 13. Just bitter cold. And this will be a wind-driven cold. And this will be the coldest morning of the bunch, Friday morning. Going into Saturday morning, it's upper teens. And then Sunday morning, Christmas morning, we're in the 20s. As we mentioned, there's a wind component to this. So the wind is a wind gust forecast. It will be windiest Thursday night and early Friday morning. By Friday 7 a.m., actually the gusts are beginning to subside a little bit, but still gusting 25 to 30 inland, 35 to 40 on the coast. Those are the gusts just to 40 that could begin to break a branch or two, or to have a tree bend over and touch a power line. So isolated power outages, I think, at worst. That's good. But the wind chills are just devastating. We're not used to this. So wind chill, when wind blows across your exposed skin, it does a couple of things. First of all, it causes the moisture on your skin to evaporate. That's evaporative cooling you off. It also, the hairs on your body, they kind of hold a little thin layer of heat. So the wind hitting that and blowing across it just blows that little thin layer of protective heat away from your body. So that's why the wind has such a factor in how it feels. And wind chill factor temperatures, Conroe will feel like 3 below zero Friday 7 a.m. See, Huntsville 4 below zero, Brenham 2 below zero, Sealy 2 below zero, Liberty 2 below zero. South of I-10, you're above zero. Well, New Gulf at 0. Pearland will feel like 1 degree above, Galveston 6 above. We're not used to that, so I would encourage you to stay inside. If you got to go outside, make sure everything's bundled up, covered up, and you want to get exposed skin out there as little as possible. That will get you in trouble very quickly if you're out there for too long and getting too much exposure. So let's take a little bit closer look at the numbers going into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So again, low temperature 17 or so in downtown on Friday morning. Saturday morning is Christmas Eve. I've got a low of 19, and then we finally get back above freezing, a high of 39, Christmas Eve afternoon. That's Saturday afternoon. Sunday's Christmas Day, low of 23, and then we warm to 46. Notice a couple of things. We do have sunshine. No winter precipitation is forecast at all with this event. That's good. So you can drive around, you can get stuff done, you can go to the store, get supplies. It's just going to be very, very cold, but it will be beautiful. It's going to be very unusual. I'm kind of curious to see how it looks. This is really going to be a beautiful weather event, although it is an extreme weather event. And if you're like me, you like to see these things every now and then. It's really fascinating. One other thing, so that 23 Christmas morning, that forecast, if that does indeed verify, it will be one of the coldest Christmas mornings that Houston has ever recorded. So these are the record coldest Christmases we've had, top 5. 83, we had a morning low of 11. I remember that Christmas, one of my most favorite Christmases of all. Wonderful. Everything frozen over. As a budding meteorologist, it was just fascinating. I loved it. 89 had that ice and sleet with the cold. Morning low Christmas morning was 20. So 23. So that would fit right in here. Colder than 1990, but warmer than 89. So 23 would, if it verifies, be the 3rd coldest Christmas morning that Houston has ever measured. Let's see, 1924, we had a Christmas morning at 27 degrees, and 85, 29. Interesting, the 80s, 85, 83, 89, and then 1990, we had a cluster of very cold Christmas mornings from 85 to 1990, from 83 to 1990, within about a 7 or 8 year span. Okay, so here's tomorrow. Get it done tomorrow if you've got exposed pipes that need to be covered. 42 in the morning, 58 in the afternoon, just a gorgeous, gorgeous December day. Oh, and by the way, by the calendar, winter begins tomorrow. It's the winter solstice. It's the shortest day of the year tomorrow. And then by the thermometer, winter begins on Thursday. Now we'll make it into the 60s in the early afternoon in Houston before that front comes in and just plunges those temps. So don't let these numbers mislead you. We're going to plunge, below freezing by the time we get to sunset. So it will happen very quickly. Make sure whatever you're doing on Thursday, if you've got to get out in the morning, you're not going to be home till the afternoon, you take a coat with you. And then there we are, 18, 31, we stay below freezing all day Friday, 19 and then 38. You know, we don't get above freezing until Saturday. And I probably need to adjust this down to 17. It looks like we're going to go down to at least 17 on Friday morning. 23 Sunday morning for Christmas Eve. Hi, Santa. Santa loves this. Just make sure you and your family are staying safe and warm. Okay, President, CEO, COO, Vice President, Chairman of our social media and digital platforming, Randy is here to take your questions, and I'll repeat them. And so let's go, Facebookers. What do we got?
Okay, Danielle wants to know when the harder winds are going to be on the coast.
Danielle, that's a great question. So when will the worst of the winds reach the coast? So let's take a look at that. In fact, bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to back this up a little bit. That's a great question. That's going to be Thursday night. So let's back up. Yeah, it looks like Thursday night, Friday morning. So these are peak winds. This is about as strong as the wind's going to get, and it's 2 a.m. Friday morning. So Danielle, that's the answer to your question. 2 a.m. Friday morning is when our forecast models indicate that's when the strongest winds will blow, gusting to 43 in Galveston. Now remember, minimal tropical storm force, 39 mile-an-hour wind. So that's a tropical storm force gust, not sustained, but gust. You know, gusts to near 30 in downtown Houston, 31 in Sugar Land, Wharton 36, Huntsville gusting to near 30. So those are your peak wind gusts, the wee hours of Friday morning. Good question.
We have a couple questions about snow again. If there's even the slightest chance of any sort of precipitation, both Annie and Lori are asking about snow.
Annie, Lori, and I know everybody else probably wants to know, is there any chance, any indication of snow? And there really isn't. The only hint of any type of precip is there may be a thin band of very light precipitation as the front comes in our northeast, like up here. As the front comes in Thursday afternoon and evening, but there's no indication that it's going to be able to turn over to snow before it exits, even if it's able to form. And so the answer to the question is no. We are not expecting any chance right now for any type of frozen precipitation. This looks very cold, very sunny, and very dry. And I understand we all would love to see snow for Christmas. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen with this one.
Sonia wants to know if she should turn off the water from the meter.
Well, you know, so as far as pipes and water, it depends on your situation. If you're in a mobile home that has a lot of exposed pipes going into it and maybe is not the best insulated, or a structure that just doesn't have any insulation to it, you know, the pipes in a structure like that are going to be much more susceptible than in a traditional home on a foundation or pier and beam. If you're going to be home and you're going to be running your heat, so my house in the Houston area, I'm not draining any pipes, I'm not turning off any water, because I'm going to be home. I'm going to be running my heater, and so the heat, you know, it will keep the pipes in the exterior walls and in your attic from freezing. Now, one thing you can do is while you're running your heat in your house and, you know, keep it at 65, 68 degrees, you can open the cabinet drawers. If you've got a sink that's against an exterior wall, you can open it so that the warmer air gets in there. One other thing you can do for attic pipes is you can open the attic access, you know, where the stairs are. You pull that down, just leave it open, and warmth from the house will go up into the attic, and it will keep it, in general, that will keep Houston pipes from freezing, even in the coldest of weather. So every situation is unique. I don't know your exact situation, but as far as in general, if you're home and your heat is on, you're going to be home, open the cabinet doors to pipes like sinks and faucets that have an exterior wall, and open up your attic access so warmth from the heat can get up in the attic, and you should be fine. That should do it. It's if you're leaving, you got to have that heat running, or yeah, you'd want to drain your pipes and turn off the water if you're not going to be home for an extended period of time. I hope that answers your question.
Frederick wants to know, and this is one I haven't heard before, if you needs to bring his propane tanks in to the garage.
I'm not an expert on that. I have had propane tanks. I've never brought them in. They've been out in the cold. In one home I had an little outdoor kitchen with a little barbecue out there. I had the propane tank underneath it, and no, I never brought that in. So my personal experience is no, they would be fine, but I'm not an expert on propane tanks.
And that's really it.
Okay.
Questions.
Yeah.
We did get one on how cold it's going to get in Katy.
Right. How cold is it going to get in Katy? Let's just back this up. We'll look at these lows just one more time. So this will be the coldest morning, Friday morning, Thursday night. Oh, and again, these temperatures come with a wind gusting to 30 inland and 40 on the coast. So what have we got here? Houston at 17, Sugar Land at 16, Sealy at 15. So, you know, I've got Sugar Land a little too far north here on this map just to fit it in. But Katy, you're looking at 16 degrees. That's how cold it'll get in Katy, forecast to by Friday morning. Pearland 17, Angleton 19, Galveston 23, Liberty 15, Conroe 14, Huntsville and Livingston both down to 13 Friday morning. That is going to be a brutally cold morning. We will, any more questions, Randy? No. Okay, the Vice President, CEO, President, Chairman, thank you, Randy, for giving us the questions. And we'll have a next live update on the TV side on KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock tonight. And we will give you another update on the latest forecast as to what's going on as the freeze approaches tomorrow at about this time at about 8 o'clock, so you can join us then. Until then, just, you know, exposed pipes need to be wrapped up, the faucets, pipes under your house if you're a pier and beam, and that exposed irrigation pipe that everybody has, a little venturi valve. If you've got an irrigation system, wrap that up. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to get some old incandescent Christmas lights, you know, the ones that actually have a filament. They give off a little bit of heat. I'm going to wrap that around my my irrigation venturi valve and then wrap that in a blanket and then duct tape it. And I'm hoping that doesn't burst, because those always seem to burst and they cost several $100, and I'd rather not spend that. So that's you know, hot tip on that one. Sometimes that works. All right, next live update at 10 o'clock tonight, and then we'll see you here again for a live update on the social media side at 8 o'clock tomorrow. That's Wednesday. Stay warm, everybody. Good night.